Well, I think it's one of those things of sort of artistic tension, I guess, really. I'm not entirely sure sort of what happened and sort of what fell through, but I think the important message is that they are involved in some capacity. We have a youth reception tonight, which is sort of heavily focused on the messages which have came through for that project. And my involvement with that was working on a lot of the PR. So how do we communicate climate change effectively? And trying to get people like Pharrell and some of the acts which are sort of involved in that. I'm sure you sort of remember Live Earth in 2007 was a huge success, and it grabbed a lot of media headlines because of the fantastic lineup of people which you got. So I think events like that should be commended, and the ambition of that event was certainly something to be amazed at. Sadly, it didn't come to fruition, but a lot of the messages have still carried on from that event.
And what are you working on here at the COP? What kind of events and communications are you doing here?
Sure. So I'm working with UNFCCC on the Action for Climate Empowerment agenda. So yesterday I chaired the Intergenerational Inquiry, which was an event where young people can directly engage with senior members, climate change royalty, if you guess, Christiana Figueres and the ministers, and they can ask them direct questions, which is really important. I think the youth involvement in COP21 is one of the best we've seen ever, I would say, because traditionally the Conference of Youth happens before the COP, and there's a bit of a diluted involvement of youth, so I think it's a very strong COP for youth involvement. And today I'm working on climate change education, both through formal and informal communication networks.
And we often see outside this COP bubble where everybody's interested in climate change, the general public, they've got more urgent things on their mind. They don't necessarily see it as a pressing concern. I mean, how do you reach people and engage people in climate change?
Absolutely, that is an extremely important point to make, and I think we need to get realistic, because when you're in this room, it's a tremendous sense of optimism and hope, but we do need to think pragmatically about this, and we have a long way to go. COP21 is the first COP ever to have Education Day, and there's a long way to go with that. There is a yawning gap between where people in this room think the public are with climate change and where they actually are. Very few people care about climate change. A lot of people know about climate change, and a lot of people don't want to talk about climate change. They have a lot more competing concerns. Where I'm from in the northeast, a traditional industrial heartland of the UK, we're facing massive job losses, austerity, and climate change is not high on the agenda, but it should be, because these risks of climate change are percolating into our everyday lives already, and the opportunities from climate change hold a future for a lot of people, and we need to embrace the opportunities and start talking about climate change in a way which really engages people. Climate change for too long has been a scientific issue. We talk about it in very scientific terms, which disconnect people from it. If I ask the average person on the street, what do you think of when you hear the word climate change, they'll tell me polar bear, ice, carbon dioxide. They will not say food insecurity, migration, economics, flood insurance, and these are the conversations we need to be having with people. Climate change will affect us all, and we need to start thinking deeper about what it actually means for us.
Okay, David, thank you very much.
Thank you.